This is the new Renault 5 and it's Renault's sacre bleu moment, isn't it?
And what I mean by that is finally they've surprised people by making a car that everyone seems to want. But there could be a huge problem with this car.
Is this car going to just end up as style over substance? Well, we're going to find out.
But before we do, I need to explain this car's backstory, because this isn't the first Renault 5. Like the Mini and the Fiat before it, Renault has resurrected a long-dead model to capitalise on the huge demand for cool, retro throwback cars in a market saturated by generic-looking hatchbacks and SUVs. The original Renault 5 was brought to market in the 1970s, but was going to be called the Renault 2, or maybe the Renault 2. However, Renault thought so much of their car, the marketing department decided 2 wasn't a grand enough number with that, and so the Renault 5 was born. Launched with the choice of a 782cc engine producing 33.5 horsepower, or a larger 956cc engine making a whopping 44 horsepower, you wouldn't exactly be setting any land speed records. Well, that was until the Renault 5 Turbo arrived with its 160 horsepower and was then followed up with the more readily available GT Turbo with a slightly lesser but still respectable 120 horsepower. And that's where this new Renault 5 takes its inspiration from. These classics cemented their cult status in the likes of James Bond's Never Say Never Again and Ali G in the House films. They were also the main staple for max power builds in the 90s and early noughties. I remember those days well. Anyway, back to today, and will this car live up to all the heritage?
Let's start off with the fact that Renault has totally and utterly got the design of this car bang on. Really good blend of the modern with the retro. I just love the contours, I love the shape of the lights, I love how it just looks like an old Renault 5 but way more modern. It makes me want it. I'll tell you who wants it, my partner Jo. I've got a Tesla at the moment. She likes the car to drive, but she says it's a bit old manny. She wants one of these, and I can see her point. The headlight design on the entry-level car is slightly different than this high-spec version, but it's hard to tell. Oh, it's not hard to tell that. Look, cheeky little tricolor flag in there. Now on the bonnet you have this area here which illuminates when you're charging the car. It's got the number 5 in it. When I first saw the car when it was originally unveiled, I didn't like that. I'd rather just have it complete bonnet. That is silly. It's actually meant to mimic the air intake on the classic Renault 5. It's grown on me, and here's an image of it charging. It actually shows you how much battery you've got left. Anyway, moving down the side, all models get 18-inch alloy wheels. You just get slightly different designs. These are diamond cut. Whoa, there's your charge port there. Certain models come with different graphics and you can mix and match various graphics. You get contrasting door mirrors, you get contrasting side skirts on all versions. There's a choice of different roof colours. You can choose different colours for this little strip here around the windows. As you move towards the back you think, yeah, it looks really cool because it's a 3-door, but no, it's not. Handles there, it is in fact a 5-door, really nice. Although to be fair, the actual usability of that handle is not as good as a classic handle, but it's well worth that little bit of pain for the gain of the side profile that you get on this car. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Speaking of which, I like this little element here, these contoured tail lights, and this little element there, these sort of fake vents, they hark back to the Turbo 2. See what I mean? Normally I wouldn't like fake vents, but I'm gonna let this car off because it's got so much personality. It makes you like it. And other things to notice, the bumper on the entry-level car is blacked out there, so it doesn't look quite as nice, but overall this is a great looking car. This one has actually been lent to me by caraudiosecurity.com. I've no idea what they do, no idea at all. The good news is that the interior of this Renault 5 lives up to the exterior. Once again, we've got a cool modern retro design, just the way you've got this cockpit here with the screens. Yes, they're sort of stuck on, but it all looks good. It's nicely integrated. I like this little bit here on the dash, like it's soft materials, you've got stitching in it, and I know you don't go around squeezing dashes unless you're me, but it just looks nicer than the harder plastics, which are evident around the place up here and here and here, but you sort of let the car off because most of the places that you touch do actually feel nice and expensive. Speaking of which, yeah, the switchgear is nicely damped. Feels way more expensive than in the modern BMWs, to tell you the truth. I also like this because unlike in a BMW, you can control the climate controls through physical buttons here. Look, there, yeah, well done Renault. We love that. You can also control them on the screen as well. But what is odd is this. While I can control some of them, what I can't do is control other bits. Like I can't change the fan, I can't change the actual direction of the airflow. I have to do those down here. Look, what's that all about? And I have to turn it off down here. Can't turn it off or on up there. It's like whoever was designing or programming this just went home early for dinner. Anyway, the rest of the infotainment system is generally easy to use. You've got Google Maps like that. Unfortunately though, you can't actually run satellite view. Why not? It's a shame. The system itself is pretty responsive and it's easy to go through all the different menus. It's all logically laid out. Very, very easy to use. Digital driver display, bit interesting. So they've gone for a quirky design. You can move through different views, which are quite handy. And I do like the map view here, which mirrors the map view in there. What is a bit odd is that you have this little line there where it shows your speed. Now we have to do a cut away from when I was driving because it actually shows like a speed mark, and then your numbers are sometimes just recessed behind this line. It's kind of a bit unnecessary design really, and I don't need to have the speed limit warning and then a little marker of where it is as well. But other than that, I do quite like the system. Now you can control most things through the steering wheel, once again easy to use, and on all but the entry level car you get adaptive cruise control. It's a shame they didn't put it on all versions. Just like in a Porsche, you've got your driving mode select button here on the steering wheel. I don't know why Renault calls it multi-sense rather than mode. The seats got a cool retro look to them. They feel lovely, they're comfortable. The seating position is good. It's highly adjustable as well, which is great. So too is the steering wheel. Look, lots of adjustment. And big shout out to the lumbar support. Some cars you don't get enough. This is like really like sticking a cushion behind your back, and you can alter it quite quickly. The motor is fast. Let's have a look at some other things. Yeah, vanity mirror. Nothing really particularly interesting. Storage under here is okay. That's a bit floppy. So you got cup holders there, and you can take out the divider. Now they're deep, a bit loose. Mind you, maybe you do it that way, that's a bit better. The door bins are quite shallow, but they are big enough to hold a big bottle, and it'll wedge in there, so even when you brake, it won't come out and like get stuck underneath your brake pedal, which would be a very bad thing. We've got some storage there, I'm not sure about that, and then we've got wireless charging for your mobile phone. I don't know where my mobile phone is. I'd illustrate it if I had it. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have cooling. So look, no, there's no cooling. Shame. You've got two USB-Cs there, old school 12 volt socket, and then this recessed area there to put, I don't know what. One thing I really like is a square patterning on the headliner. It just gives this car character. Oh, why don't I just tell you about this little thing? So see if I can get it up. It's your digital voice assistant called Renault, spelled R-E-N-O. No, that's Google. Hey Renault. There he is. Hello, look. I actually call him Diamond Geezer because he's the Renault Diamond, but he can actually connect to things like ChatGPT, so you can ask him questions and he'll give you the answer. Sometimes the answer will be wrong, you know, like with ChatGPT, so it's fully authentic. It's also quite intuitive. So I was driving this car earlier in the morning and the windscreen was starting to fog up. I didn't really think about it, and he said, oh wait a minute, it looks like your windscreen's going to fog up, shall I just put the demister on? So I was like, yes, thank you very much, you were on that before me. Unfortunately I had the climate control off and he wasn't able to turn on the climate control to do what he said he was going to do, but there we go, at least he tried.
So Renault has nailed the design both inside and out, but there's one area where it has slightly shot itself in the foot. You see, by keeping a small overall size, rear passenger space is compromised.
It's a real shame. You can probably see, look, I've got no knee room, and this seat is in my usual driving position. What would it be like with someone taller? Jack, do you want to have a quick look? See, I'm going to put on my Meta glasses and you can see what's going to happen to me. Are you comfy?
Need a little more.
Go on, a bit more. Are you all right there? Is that how you normally drive?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I can't live with this at all. What's making matters worse is that I like to have my seat quite low down, and there really isn't much space underneath this seat at all.
And this is the kind of trade-off you make when you build an electric car. The large battery pack has to go somewhere, and in the case of mass-produced cars such as this, it's usually underneath the floor, in what is known as a skateboard design. The reason they do this is to keep the centre of mass as low as possible so the car drives nicely. These platforms are also shared across a number of models to help save money. In the case of this Renault, the car is built on their new Ampere Small platform and will be used in the upcoming Renault 4, Alpine A290 and future Twingo. But the underfloor battery isn't all to blame for the lack of space back here, as you can see when there's 3 people in the back.
Look at your legs. I don't think we need to wear seatbelts, do we? Look at his legs. This is actually the best seat in the house, bizarrely. Okay, you all can get out. Go on. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Out you get. Storage isn't great back here either. There are no rear door bins. You do have some plugs on the seat backs, which I can't really show you because my legs are too much in the way. And where are the USB-C charging ports? What? Where are they? But the windows don't even get it all the way down, do they? Kel surprise. It looks cool though in here, it looks cool. Just doesn't feel particularly cool.
Fitting a baby seat in this car isn't particularly easy either. The doors don't open very wide and the lack of space back there makes fitting a rear-facing seat a bit of a chore. You'll also need to move the front passenger seat forward to get it in. And there's some other really annoying things which I'll tell you about later in the video.
A Citroen EC3 is definitely more practical for families, and if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or scan the QR code on screen now.
But first, let's find out if the boot space is better than the space in the back seats.
Thankfully it is. The capacity is 326 litres, which is about average for this kind of car, though it's not quite as large as a Hyundai Insta's boot. And if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen or scan the QR code on screen now. So underneath here you have some storage for your cables and stuff, but apart from that, let's see how practical it is, and I'm going to test it with my carry-on suitcases there, although I'm not sure whether they're a bit too large for Ryanair, even though they are Ryanair colour. In fact, this is Ryanair colour, isn't it? Can I fit this other one in? If I can, that'll be quite good. I need to be able to get it underneath the load cover without that sticking up. So here's the test. That's a win. Success. Now let's see how easy it is to lift stuff out. Obviously quite easy because there's nothing in these, but you can probably see there's quite a large load lip there, so if these were really quite heavy, it could be a bit more problematic. Now let's fold down the rear seats. Just take this out. I wonder if that'll fit underneath there. If it does, you're geniuses, Renault. No, you're not geniuses. You're not. You didn't do that, did you? It's not too big though. We'll just leave it there for now. Fold down the rear seat. Oh gosh. It's hard, yeah. There's not much space in the back. I'm going to have to move this seat forward. There we go. Now you can see that there's a massive ridge there, so if you want to load stuff in like this and then slide it to the front, you're sort of going to have to do something like that. Not ideal. Wait a minute. I've noticed it appears that Renault really likes cocks. There's another one just here, look. And look, there's some more cocks here. There's one in there. Seems that everywhere I look, there's cocks. Now let's just have a quick look under here. Surely there's going to be some storage. Go on, front boot. Oh, cock. There's not. The Renault 5 starts at £23,000, which is really competitive. This particular car, which is essentially the range-topping model with the bigger battery and lots of kit on it, £29,000. Now, if you want to make sure you're paying a fair price for your next car and you want to check out leasing deals, used deals and new car deals, you need to head to CarWow. There's a link in the description of this video and the pinned comment. You can also click on the pop-out banner in the top right-hand corner of the screen or scan the QR code on screen now. If that's too much for you to do right away, just simply Google "Help Me CarWow" and we will help you change your car.
But if you're thinking about changing your car to one of these Renault 5s, there are some annoying things you should know about first.
The definition of the reversing camera is just so 1990s. It's a bit retro like the car, to tell you the truth. Also, it doesn't have a cleaning system, so when it gets covered in dirt, which it will do because it's quite low down, you're going to have to get out and wipe it clean. Something makes me think that the French don't really like the British very much, because whenever they build a right-hand drive car, they never bother to move the fuse box across with the steering wheel. As a result, the glove box on French cars is smaller than they would otherwise be. Now here's a look at the glove box on a left-hand drive French version of this new Renault 5. See? It's bigger. Renault, for some reason, is wedded to the idea of having this little stalk behind the steering wheel for the stereo controls rather than having them on the steering wheel itself like every other manufacturer, and really you don't need that anyway because you've got volume controls up here, which is quite easy to reach to. And the problem is that it means that you get 3 stalks here on the right hand side of the steering wheel. It's almost like it's an octopus. It's just a bit odd. And while I like a column mounted gear selector like they have here, it's good because you've got these other stalks. It's positioned quite high, so it's quite hard to reach with one finger when you're holding the steering wheel. Another problem with it is, for some reason, there is neutral but no park mode on there. You think you press that for park? No, there is no park mode. And another thing that's a bit odd is the way certain things are dotted around the cabin. So you've got the gear selector there, and then you've got the start button there, and then you've got the parking brake there. It's all just a bit haphazard. The seat belts don't have a separate runner, so they actually rest on the rear seats like that. It means that sometimes when you fold down the rear seats, do it quickly, sometimes the seat belt actually locks like that, so you can't put the seat down from the back, so you have to walk around and do it. And as you can see, they then flop down and sort of get trapped like that. This shiny black plastic trim behind the steering wheel is very reflective. When you're driving along, you get like reflections flickering away, it's distracting. And occasionally if the sun's behind you, it can reflect off the corner points there, and it can almost blind you a little bit. It's a touch like this actually.
Don't worry, there's still plenty to like about this car. Here's the carwow 5 cool features.
There's Isofix on the front passenger seat, so there's 3 Isofix locations in total. Really handy. I like to have the baby next to me. Although don't forget to turn off the passenger airbag, which is dead easy to do in this car. You can tell this car is designed by people who like driving because they're given a dedicated button there that allows you to turn off all the safety systems in one go. All you have to do is press it twice like that. They're off. No beeping, no bonging, just pure driving pleasure. You can change the pedestrian warning noise the car emits when you're driving around at low speed. So this is the normal sound. Right, stop there, stop. Now you can change it to something else called expressive. Ooh, and there is one more setting. Now it's actually composed by Jean-Michel Jarre. He's a Frenchman who did like kind of digital music, a bit like France's version of Hans Zimmer. You know how BMW uses Hans Zimmer for its kind of car sounds? Well, the French have gone and done that with their composer. Interestingly, Jean-Michel Jarre had the largest live concert in the world ever. It's like 3.5 million people in Moscow. Madness. Anyway, let's hear what he's composed for the Renault 5. Go. I think that's the winner, isn't it? If you're wondering why we're doing it in reverse, for some reason it's louder in reverse. The car will grade your driving for safety and efficiency. So let's have a look at my safety score. It's 86 out of 100. It's good, keep up the effort. Let's improve trajectory control. Look, it gives me some advice. Consider using your indicator when you change lane in order to inform other road users. Oh dear, I spent too long driving BMWs. Assistances are available in your car to help improve your trajectories. Lane departure prevention. No, I don't want those on, thank you. Around 30% of drivers had an accident or near accident due to loss of vehicle control, often caused by excessive speed on curves. I think I've been going around corners a bit too quickly, but hey, I'm a motoring journalist. I'm supposed to do that to test the car's handling. Anyway, let's check out the bit about economy. I've got a horrible feeling it's too bad that it can't even calculate it. Fortunately, here's one that I did earlier, and yes, I don't think I've been very efficient. You can actually power household appliances from the car's battery, so you
need a special adapter and we haven't got it.
What we do have with the Renault 5 though is a very easy choice between 2 power outputs. There's the urban model, which has 120 horsepower, 225 newton meters of torque, and can do 0 to 60 in a claimed 9 seconds, and should do 190 miles on a full charge. Then there's this car, the Comfort. It gets 150 horsepower, 245 newton meters of torque, and will do a claimed 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds, which I'll test a bit later in this video. This model is supposed to be able to do 248 miles on a full charge. So which one should you go for?
I've configured my favourite version of the new Renault 5 through carwow. If you want to find out what that car is and the saving through carwow, just click on the pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen or scan the QR code on screen now. Right from the get-go, this new Renault 5 is a real joy to drive. The engineers have got this perfect balance between comfort and cornering ability. You know, you drive down the road, it deals with bumps so well, it makes it a real pleasure to just cruise about. And then when you get to some corners, want to have some fun, it feels sharp and responsive. Win-win. Also, the throttle pedal, it gives you just the right amount of power that you're expecting. There's no slop in it. Now, this is one thing that you find with some Chinese cars. They can't quite get the steering and the throttle pedal quite right. Now, it's a little bit like when you're cooking a meal. You can have the best ingredients in the world, but unless you've got a good chef that knows how to mix them together, you can end up with something not that tasty. But I'll tell you what, Renault's engineers are Michelin starred when it comes to cooking up a car that's tasty to drive. Yum, yum, yum. I really like it. Now, full disclosure, I've always been a bit of a fanboy for Renault sporty models, so I always preferred the Renault 5 GT Turbo over the 205 GTI. Now, most motoring journalists won't agree with me, but that's how I feel. Also, the Renault Megane R26R is one of my favourite hot hatches ever. I remember going on the launch of the Ford Focus Mark II RS, thinking that was brilliant, and then I brought it back to the UK, and I put it head to head against the R26R, and then actually felt, oh my God, This Ford is nowhere near as good as the Renault. The Renault felt like a racing car, and you can just tell that Renault's put all that expertise that it's built up over the years into making this car good to drive. Now there is one slight problem, and it's the brakes. So with electric cars, you often have this problem where they can feel grabby, and the reason for that is that the first part of your braking is regen effect. So it's actually the motor slowing down and putting energy back into the battery, and then you press the pedal a bit more and then you get the actual friction brakes grabbing at the discs, and that transition can make the car feel jerky. So to prevent that from happening, Renault decided to actually make this car have brake-by-wire. So the braking is actually done by a computer program, depending on how you're pressing the pedal. And while it does eliminate that kind of grabby feeling, there's something just slightly unnatural about it. Takes some getting used to. It's not terrible, it's just that when the throttle and the steering is just so spot on, that stands out as being not quite perfect. In terms of performance, this car's got it going on as well. So this 150 model has plenty of get up and go, you put your foot down, and it's nippy enough for overtaking on the motorway. But what about when you want to accelerate from a standstill? This 150 version of the Renault 5 is supposed to do 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds. Let's see what it can really do. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Oh, the stability control killed that one. Yeah, let's just do this. Swipey, swipey, traction control off. This might be better. Loads better. Yes, success. Right, let's do a brake test from 60 miles an hour, hoping for around 35 meters. Let's go. Oh, it is a bit wet. Oof. 36 meters, that's okay. The ABS did a good job. And that brings me on something else to do with the stability and traction systems. Now, one of the issues with many front-wheel drive electric cars is that because electric motors produce instant torque the moment you put your foot down, when you're pulling out of a junction with some steering lock on, they can spin up their wheels quite quickly, and then the traction control comes in, stops the power, and it can all get a bit jerky and a bit hesitant. While this does spin up its wheels a little bit, the traction control manages it very, very well. That said, you don't get that sensation of the car pushing you out of a turn like you get with an MG4, because that is rear wheel drive, and as a result can feel a little bit sportier. If you want to see my full in-depth video review of the MG4, click on the pop-out banner up there or scan the QR code on screen now. However, based on my recollection of the MG, I think this Renault 5 is a better drive overall. Now, at higher speed, it just seems a little bit more planted, a bit more grown up. It's also slightly quieter. You've got really good sound insulation. The only thing I can really notice is a little bit of wind whistle from up there. Hardly any road noise at all, though. Special mention, though, to the efficiency. So this car is averaging 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour, which is very, very good. When you multiply that out by the battery capacity of 52 kilowatt hours, you're looking at a real-world range of about 280 miles, which is pretty close, to be fair, to the claimed range of 252 miles. So well done, Renault. This car is really easy to drive in town as well. So it's agile, it's nimble, it's compact. Also, visibility is good, both forwards and backwards, even though the rear window is quite shallow. It's wide enough, you get a good view out of it. Also, the turning circle really helps as well. It's just 10.3 meters. It's almost like a blooming London cab. The only slight letdown is that you don't get full one pedal drive. So while you've got a B mode, which increases the regen braking a bit more aggressively, it won't bring the car to a complete stop. You do have to touch the actual brake pedal, and that's a bit of a shame for a car that's actually designed for mainly use in town, because just being able to control the car just using your one pedal is actually quite useful. That aside, overall I think Renault have absolutely nailed the way this car drives. I like it a lot. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Renault 5? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, as long as you don't need to carry people in the back of your car very often, I think you should go right ahead and buy the new Renault 5. C'est génial.